It is finally summer in the UK, and summer is by far my favourite season to photograph weddings. So today I'm going to be sharing with you a few tips and tricks on how I edit my summer wedding photos in Lightroom. And if you guys would like to follow along with the same photo that I'm going to be using in today's tutorial, make sure to go ahead to the link in the description. And I'm going to start right now. Now, if you guys didn't know, I live in the rural part of England, so a lot of my weddings that I photograph are usually in lovely barns or some old houses, so they've usually got quite a lot of green in them, which is one of the more difficult colours I find to edit in Lightroom. Sometimes it can make them look a little bit too blue or a little bit too yellow, so today I'm going to be showing you a few tips and tricks on how you can get perfect greens within your image. So if you have photos that look similar to this, then hopefully this video will help you out. Okay, so let's go ahead, open up the develop panel, and now we're going to drop down to the basics panel. Now, the very first thing you want to make sure that you're getting right is your white balance. Now on here, I shot at around 5800 ISO. I was kind of in the cloudy part, so I'm actually going to leave that for this tutorial, but make sure you want to get the right white balance for your scene. If you're concerned or you're not sure what white balance is correct, I would urge on the side of warm versus cool. Summer weddings, you want nice warm photos, so I find shoot slightly warmer than the correct white balance and you should end up with quite a nice photo. Okay, so once we've done that, what we're going to do is drop down to our overall exposure. Now we want to increase the amount of dynamic range in this image. If we have a look at our histogram, there's not a lot of information in the highlights. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to drop the highlights down a little bit. I'm going to drop that down probably by -20, not by much, but there's a lot of information in those shadows that we can bring back more to the midtones. So for that, we're going to go to our shadows here. I'm going to go ahead and bring that up. I'm probably going to bring it up to around about +50. You want to look at your histogram, work out roughly where your exposure is, and then kind of fix that accordingly. I'm quite happy with this. Overall, it's going to be a fairly dark image, naturally, because there's more shadows in it. So you want to find the right balance for your photo. And I think we can expand it a little bit further. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my whites here, increase that by +10, and then for the shadows here, I'm going to decrease that by -10. Now let's move on to texture, clarity, and dehaze. For texture, I do like adding in a little bit of texture, but because we're photographing weddings, and this is one of the tips I'm going to be talking about in today's video, is clarity. Naturally, if you've got skin tones in your image, or if you're doing any environmental portraits, I do like reducing clarity, adding that nice softness to the photo. So many mirrorless cameras these days, and especially mirrorless lenses, are incredibly sharp. So we can sacrifice a little bit of that, to add a little bit more of a softening look to our image. So for that, minus clarity, I'm going to go for around about -20. No more than -20. A negative number really can help out. And then lastly, we've got a little bit of dehaze here. I'm probably going to add in around about +10 in this photo. But again, look at your image, work out if there's any haze, especially in the background, and a dehaze should hopefully fix that. And then we've got vibrance and saturation, which we are going to leave alone. We'll fix that in step 2 when we have a look at color grading. Okay, so what we're going to do is now exit out of the basics panel, and you'll notice that we haven't fixed contrast. And that's because we haven't got a perfect exposure. The contrast slider is great when you've got a perfect exposure, but if you've got a slightly underexposed image or a slightly overexposed image, the contrast slider might make your photo look worse because of how it adds in contrast. So instead, what we're going to do is go to the tone curve. We can be a lot more precise of where we add in that contrast. So this image here naturally is dark, so we can add in more brightness versus less to the shadows, meaning we're fixing our exposure and adding in contrast at the same time. So what I'm going to do is just make a point roughly in my highlight area and a point roughly in the shadows. Then all I'm going to do is bring up those highlights, go for something like so, and then ever so slightly bring down those shadows, or might not even touch them at all actually. Might go back to my highlights and bring that up a little bit. So we're fixing our exposure and adding in contrast at the same time with this very subtle S-curve, or basically we're just slightly lifting the highlights. So if you do have a perfect exposure, you can always use the contrast slider, it's a lot easier. But if you're someone like me and you always seem to urge on the side of underexposed versus overexposed to save more information in the highlights, then the tone curve is going to be a far better tool to get better exposure and better contrast. And all we need to do is exit out the tone curve, and that is step 1 done. Now let's move over to step 2, which is color grading. Okay, so let's go ahead. Let's go to our very first tool, which is the color mixer tool. Now, the color mixer tool is split into 3. You've got your hue, you've got your saturation and luminance, and this is your anatomy of your colors. If you'd like to know more about anatomy of colors, color harmonies and things like that, go ahead and watch this video here. It's my understanding color as a photographer. But actually, it's a really simple one for this. All we're going to be doing is go to our yellows, greens, aquas, and blues. I'm going to make a slight change. Now, whenever you've got skin tones in your image, always make sure that you leave your reds and oranges alone, unless you're in the masking panel. Because if you do that, it will change the color of those skin tones, and that won't look very good. So what we're going to do is skip out the reds and oranges, go to yellow, and follow this. We're going to do 30 in the yellow, 30 in the green, then minus 30 in the aqua, and minus 30 in the blue. And that's all we're going to be doing. Now, the photo might look a little bit oversaturated, but don't worry, we're going to be fixing that in step 2 when we have a look at saturation. But what we've done is we've fixed a lot of those yellowy colors that you can sometimes get in those greens. Again, summer is lovely in the UK, but sometimes it's quite dry. And dry naturally brings out more of those yellowy tones, which aren't necessarily very appealing. So to fix that, all you want to do is push the yellows and push the greens more towards those greens on the color wheel, making them a little bit more vibrant and a little bit more lush. And it really helps when we complement that with a negative in the aqua and blue, pushing that more to the aqua, making those blues, especially in the sky, or in this particular case, if we zoom in, we've got this nice blue that we've got in the suit that we've got here, and it really complements that green very nicely. Okay, so what we're gonna do is now move over to our saturation, and we're gonna be basically targeting the same colors. So skip out reds and oranges, we're gonna go straight to yellow. What we're gonna do is minus 30 here, then we're gonna do minus 50 in the greens, because that's predominantly what we've been changing. Then we're gonna do again minus 50 in the aquas, and lastly minus 30 in the blues. Now the photo might look undersaturated, but don't worry, we're gonna be fixing that in luminance, because saturation and luminance are kind of interconnected. If you change one, it will naturally indirectly change the other. Again, if you would like to know more, that understanding color theory as a photographer is a very helpful video. Okay, so once you're finished with saturation, we're now gonna head over to luminance. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna slightly change some of the brightness levels of those color bands. And that will really help, especially fix some of that undersaturated look in the greens. What we want to do is darken the greens as well as desaturate the greens, keeping the saturation roughly at the same level, but we've actually darkened those colors, and it will work really nice. It'll make the skin tones pop a lot more in your photo. So we're going to skip out the reds and oranges, go straight to yellow. What we can actually do is increase the yellows a little bit by plus 10, but in the greens, we're going to drop that down by minus 50. And then in the aquas here, we're going to go for minus 30, and then blues here, we're also going to drop those down by minus 30. So what we've done is we've kept the saturation level the same, but we've darkened the greens. Now you might be asking, well, we haven't, because we've actually dropped the greens in saturation. But saturation and luminance are interconnected. When you change one, you indirectly change another. If you darken a color, you will naturally increase the saturation level. So what we've done is we've decreased the saturation level, then decreased the luminance, keeping the saturation the same, but we've darkened the color overall, which actually adds this more muted look. The greens are there, but they're not really punching, they're not overpowering the image. We've got the skin tones there we haven't changed, which looks really nice, and it actually makes the couples pop. We haven't even got into masking, so that's really cool. And that's all we're gonna be doing in the color mixer tool. In the color grading panel, we're gonna go for a very simple complementary look. We're gonna add the warmth to the highlights and a little bit of cool to the shadows. So what we're gonna do is go to our highlights first. This is the color wheel here. Obviously you've got your global, highlights, midtones, and shadows. We're just gonna be targeting highlights and shadows in this video. What we're gonna do is choose a nice warm color. I'd recommend choosing around a hue of 25 to 50. I'm gonna choose 40 in this example. Then I'm gonna go to my saturation here, which is the amount of color that you want to add into those highlights. And I'm gonna go ahead and increase that. Now, depending on how bright your image is, or depending on how high that number should be, the brighter the image, the less you'll need of this number. So because my image is quite dark, I'm probably gonna choose a saturation of 30. But again, if your image is darker, you might need more. If your image is brighter, you might need less. And then with the shadows here, we're gonna do basically the opposite. So whatever number you've chosen, so we chose 40 in this example, have a look on the opposite side of the color wheel. So for me, it will be a hue number of 225, which is like a blue color. And then again, add in saturation. We'll probably go for around about plus 10. What this will do is it will complement that very strong warm look that we've got in the highlight by adding in a pinch of blue to those shadows. Again, balancing that image. You don't want to make it look too over warm, because then it looks like we've added in this sepia tone. So this is a nice way of just combating that, especially in the highlights. And that's all we're going to be doing in color grading. Let's move over to step 3, which is Lightroom masking. Right, so let's go over to our masking. What we're gonna do is create 2 masks in this photo. And this will allow us to create a thing called photo contrast. Photo contrast is similar to the standard contrast that works on a pixel-based level, but photo contrast works where are the bright parts of your image, where are the dark parts of your image, and then create a mask and emphasize that in Lightroom. So for this, we're gonna create 2, one linear gradient and one radial gradient. So we're gonna go down to our linear gradient tool, we'll select here, and then hold down Shift and basically select the bottom part of your photo or the darkened part of your image. So mine's about here. Then we're going to go to our exposure here and simply drop that down by 1 entire stop. This will emphasize the bright parts of your image. But obviously now we've added a darken mask, we need to add a brighten mask. So create new mask. This time I'm going to go ahead and select radial gradient, but of course you can always select linear gradient if you want to, and then select the bright part of your photo. So for me, it's roughly the sky, which is in the top part of our image. Then with our exposure, what we're going to do is brighten it up by 1/2 of a stop. So 0.5 in this example. But it doesn't really work. So what can we do to make it look a little bit better? What we can do is soften the highlights, and we can do that in the effects panel of our mask. So with the same mask selected, go all the way down to our effects, go to texture, we're gonna drop that down by -20, clarity, -20, and dehaze here, -20. And I do this for basically every single one of my summer wedding photos, as this nice softened bloom effect, especially to the highlights. What I can do is quickly show you the before and after. So there is the before, and here is the after, and it works really nice. You can even, in our brighten mask, what I might do is just rename this. We'll go ahead and click OK. What you can do if you wanted to is go to your color temperature here and add in a little bit of warmth if you want to, if it's not already overpowering. And I must say for this photo, it works really nice, but it might not necessarily work for your image. And I'm already really happy. Now, I could even add another mask if I wanted to, so I could actually go add here to my darken mask, and then just simply select the right portion of our photo here. Go for something like so, to really emphasize the couple on the left-hand side of our image. And that works really nice. What I can quickly do is show you the before and after. This photo is really starting to come together. But let's move over to step 4, which is photo effects and export. Okay, so in photo effects, we're basically just gonna be doing one thing. We add in a little bit of post-cropping vignette, and also show you how you can add in grain if that's something you want to. I don't add it to all my photos, but sometimes I do, especially to my summer wedding ones, if I want to go for a more vintage look. So for both of those, they're in our effects panel. So head back to your main panel. We're going to drop down to effects, which is right at the bottom, and here we've got our post-cropping vignette and we've got our grain. Now in post-cropping vignette, the one that I like adding in is -20. Now that might look a little bit too strong, so what I like doing is go to my feather amount here and whack that all the way up to 100%. Adds a nice soft feather to that actual vignette, and it makes it look a lot more subtle to the image. It still works, but a lot more subtle. Now, if you want to add in grain, that's something that's completely optional. You can actually do it. So for example, you've got your grain amount here. The number I usually like selecting is 20, 20, and 50. Now, if we go ahead and zoom in, what I recommend zooming into around 300%, having a look at an area that's got a lot of detail, so usually the faces is a good one to zoom into, and have a look and see how much grain you're adding in. Now, in my opinion, I'm not gonna add in grain into this photo, so I'm gonna turn that off, but if you do want to add in grain, it definitely can add more vintage vibe to your photos. And that's all we're gonna be doing. Now, let me quickly show you my export settings. Right, so to export this one photo, we're gonna right click, we're gonna head down to export, we'll go ahead and click export. Now in here, what I'm gonna do is just quickly choose my desktop. Then I'm gonna scroll all the way down. I don't like renaming it, so you can see this was shot on my Nikon D750. And then all the way down, these are my file settings. So I'm gonna go ahead and select JPEG. I'm gonna choose quality of 85, and then most importantly, I'm choosing my color space of sRGB. A lot of my photos I upload online, and sRGB is the universal color space for the internet. And that's all I'm gonna be doing. The last thing I do like checking though is to make sure my resolution is around 72. But if I was printing this image, I would change my color space to CMYK and then my resolution to 300 pixels per inch, as that is the depth that you want when you're printing your work. You wanna make sure you're choosing the right color space. And then all you need to do is go ahead and click export. And that's all you need to do to create this awesome summer wedding look. Let me quickly show you a few other photos that I've actually applied this preset to. So this is our photo 2. So you can see I've got the before and after. I just love the color of those greens. They're really, really nice. Now let me show you a few photos that I've taken just last week in Skoma, where I've actually applied this summer wedding look. They're not wedding photos, but they work unbelievably well. So I actually went to Skoma to photograph some puffins. and these images have come out excellent. So what I can do is show you the before and after. The colour of these greens are absolutely magical. I absolutely love them. Here's another image. This was a little puffin sitting in his burrow. Lovely amount of green here. What I can do is show you the before and after. Those greens are absolutely amazing. And lastly, we can show you how it actually impacts blue. Now, obviously, this isn't the sky, it's actually the sea, but treat it like it was the sky. What I can do is show you the before and after. Yeah, absolutely amazing. You can see all the effects of the change. I haven't added a vignette to this particular photo, but basically every single other effect, if I go to my masks, you can see they're basically the same. I've had to add a slight green mask in this one here, but you can see I've added in a vignette, lighter mask and darker mask. Everything else is the same, and the photos have come out absolutely perfect. So make sure, after all the changes, save it as a preset so you can apply it to the rest of your photos in your gallery. Thank you to all my YouTube members that are currently supporting the channel. If you guys want to support the channel and get some awesome perks, including free Lightroom presets like the one we've just made today, make sure to go ahead to the link in the description. I've been James for Photo Fever, and I'll catch you guys next week.